Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? How was training camp, man? I'm jealous.
Oh man, I always tell people don't be jelly, don't be jelly. But I gotta tell you, I was so hyped and so pumped to be amongst the fans and to see the players. I mean, it felt really, really good. And I was able to get out to camp on Sunday, the first day, and then our buddy Troy Dodd, he gave me a pass for that Monday with the pads on to see that first set of clashes between everybody. And man, you know, if anyone ever was to say that football is back, well, football is back, bro.
Man, I saw some pictures, I saw some videos. I think the reports that there were 3,000 fans there. A guy drove down from Montreal. Another guy drove down from the Boston area. I mean, first, I think they need to hit sbevents.net up so you can help them out with some, transfer accommodations. Because to drive down, whew, I'm sure you could probably help them get a cheaper flight or something. But what was it like viewing wise? I mean, we know that they ripped up that other practice field that they never practiced on, but you at least had the tents out there that the fans could go in and hang out and kind of all the porta potties. Like, what was the viewing area for fans this year compared to last year when they put those bleachers up?
Well, last year you didn't have the end zone access, where this year they actually uh, ripped up a lot of trees in that end zone area back there so that fans could go back there and stand. And initially on Sunday, uh, you know me, I always like to have the end zone view, if you will. Well, initially, I wanted to go back over there, and one of the CSC security guys said, no, this area is closed off. And I thought it was kind of strange, but I'm not going to argue with anyone. So I said, all right. So I'm walking back over toward the 50-yard line, or if you want to say the main stand area. And I turn my back, look around, and they opened it up to fans. They had to because it was just that many fans there was there on Sunday. On Monday, there were a lot of fans that were there, but there weren't obviously as much that was there on a Sunday because of the weekday and people having to work, etc. But you can tell that they're making the best of the space. It felt a little cramped, but no one cared about that because football is back. Once they get that other field opened up or whatever they're going to do with it for the hospitality, or even if it's just for a practice field, I don't know what they're going to do with it. But if they decide to open that up for the VIP tents or the welcoming tents or whatever have you, they'll have a little bit more room. And I almost felt like a part of the stands was taken away. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just that crowded, that many people there. But nevertheless, I enjoyed it, and I think that whatever they continue to do on a positive, fans will enjoy it. It seemed like they had more VIP area. It also seemed as though they had a larger area for those with disabilities. So, and I'm not mad at that at all because that has been, you know, kind of a complaint, if you will. Hey, we need more ADA, and so you got to have those areas for people. So I'm happy that obviously they've been listening to what fans have asked for. And as far as the space is concerned, you're limited anyway. I mean, Ashburn is just limited, no doubt about it. So uh, the mere fact that they were able to accommodate everyone, and shout out goes to all the CSC guys, the ushers, the people who came in to assist commanders. I'm not sure what you want to, what do you call them? Not they weren't ushers, but I'm going to say volunteers. How about that? The volunteers.
Yeah.
Shout out goes to the volunteers because they had their hands full and they worked the crowd. And a big shout out to them. And that's a job that just doesn't get a lot of praise. And so I want to praise them, give them a second just to praise them because they did a great job.
No, that's awesome to hear, man. I know a lot of those volunteers, they're not really getting paid. They're not getting anything out of it. In the past, if they showed up to every practice, then they got game tickets for regular season. There's only
Mhm.
7 practices this year that fans are allowed to go to. So I'm not sure how they're working that or what they're doing. But seriously, I mean, hats off to them because they're standing in that heat. They're not really getting a chance to cool off or anything. It was hot and humid out there from all the pictures I was seeing. I mean, it looked like a good time, but it also looked like it was just miserable weather-wise. And you were talking about being in the end zone view. Are there bleachers in the end zone, or is it standing room back there?
Standing room only, brother. Now, maybe in the future they may think about putting some bleachers up there. I don't know, but I think you'd have to have a lot more security if you were to put bleachers there because I'd say there's probably from the fence line to the back of the trees, it's probably a good 20 feet, 20 to 30 feet, if you will, which is a lot of space. So you could have up to, I'd say, maybe 6 rows of people standing, if you will. Um, I, like I said, my hat's out. My hat goes off to them. The amount of fans that were there. So the second day was the military appreciation day when they put the pads on. And shout out to all my brothers and sisters in the military that came out as well. They were in their BDUs, which is battle dress uniform, and it was warm Monday. I mean, really warm. But hey, as Dan Quinn said, shout out goes to them, the military. They do what they do so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. So a big shout out goes to them also.
The team has always done, even before we were named the Commanders, they've always done a good job, in my opinion, honoring our military, armed force members. And I just glad to see that even though the training camp days are limited, they made sure that that's not something that stopped them from recognize all those individuals that, work hard to defend us, take care of us. So I'm glad you were able to get out there another day. Now, what was it like being amongst the fans? I mean, was everybody hyped up? Are some people still griping about the name? I mean, what was really the overall feeling out there?
Well, let me say this start off with no matter what the team looked like, you're always going to have the people who are going to have the naysay about the name. That's just not going to go away. And we've talked about it on end. And even if we change the name to something different, everyone's just not going to be on board. You're going to have more people who like it more so than other people. But as far as the fans are concerned,
the Commanders.
say it again.
We are the
That's what we are.
Commanders.
That's our name right now. Like or love it or hate it. That's just what it is. But I honestly believe, Ted, that people are starting to really get behind it, even though they don't like it. I saw a lot of Commanders gear. I probably saw in years past, I would see a lot of Redskins gear. This year I saw a couple Redskins items, if you will, apparel, but for the most part, it was all Commanders, and I like to see that. I mean, people are getting behind the team. They feel something's in the air. Now, will it dictate to wins and losses on the field or wins on the field? I don't know, but the fans are buying in, and that's what I saw. And everyone had the exact same outlook, if you will. We don't know what's going to happen, but boy, it feels good to be underneath the DS umbrella as and the new regime of the Hall Group.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember last year when I was there, I saw a lot of Commanders gear in the stands, and a lot of people didn't believe me. So I was taking pictures and posting them on social media. I'm happy to see that that's really the same case this year. And I think as it goes along and as we get further into this, you're just going to see more and more people rocking it. I mean, if they made better looking gear, you'd have more fans rocking it. I know some of that stuff is because the NFL and fanatics and they can only license so much stuff. So maybe they just need to start getting their gear from you or something because you've always got the fresh stuff out there. But I'm just happy to see that fans are out there representing. And from a practice perspective, I mean, did you actually get a chance to watch practice? Because you're a man of the people. You're walking around, you're shaking hands, you're kissing babies. Did you actually get a chance to watch practice?
I did get a little bit of a chance, and like we said before, this was all vanilla. I mean, we weren't really going to see anything out of the ordinary. they made sure that they appeased us with the occasional Jayden Daniels end zone pass over the shoulder to to what's my man's name, to Jahan or to Terry. They made sure that they threw a couple of those in. One thing that I guess was different for me is a lot of people had this high expectation of Jayden, which no doubt about it, he's a second round pick. Um, he did a lot of good things, but he also did what rookies do. I mean, he wasn't always on target. He wasn't always, uh, you know, where he needed to be. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's not. I would say that out of 100%, let's just say he's batting at least a good 75 to 80%. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually happy with that. The things that I saw, and we talked about this last year with Carson Wentz, I didn't see any of that stuff. I didn't see any of that stuff that Carson was doing, or that Jayden was doing that versus Carson. Carson was, let's face it, balls were bouncing off the ground, balls were just in the dirt. No, that wasn't the case with Jayden. And so, bro, I really feel that we have something with him. I heard a clip from Terry saying he puts the ball where only we can get it. I saw that a lot. I saw that. I'm not going to say 100% because no one pretty much is at 100, but I'd say 90 to 95% ish, if you will. The ball was where it needed to be. I can live with that. I can live with that. If he can do this under the gun, meaning with pressure coming at him, Ted, look out, bro.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Now, I haven't been able to be out there, but I've been keeping up with the Washington Post, has been doing training camp updates. The Beltway Football Pod, they've got updates after every practice. And I was surprised about this fact. I'm curious what you think. Mariota was taking reps with the ones, not just Jayden. Are you surprised that they've actually been splitting reps and splitting time with the ones?
Not at all. And I know that people have said that they don't want to see Mariota. However, Mariota has to take snaps with the ones simply because if by chance that I word comes up, he's got to know what to do with the ones as well. So right now, I think this is the time that you actually split the reps so that they can get some type of cohesiveness together. But I believe, like everyone else believes, you brought a second round pick in here to be the number one. But at the same time, you've got to let everyone get a taste or a bite of the apple. And I'm not mad at it because from what I saw, Jayden is a step above Mariota. A step, not a lot. So don't take it. The hope our listeners aren't taking it out of context. He's not a lot above Mariota. He is above him, but he's not glaringly above him. So I want Mariota to get some snaps. I want him to be able to get used to Cliff's his system as well as Jayden. I want him to be able to do those things. Now, where it matters to me is I want to see Jayden in the preseason. I really do. A lot of people are saying that they don't want to see him because of the I word. I'm not going to say it, but I think that you've got to give the kid at least a series just to see what NFL speed truly is. We know for a fact training camp is not NFL speed. It's 60% because as Dan said, hey, these are your brothers. You don't want to hurt them, but at the same time, you want to give them something. Well, it's still not the same. We know that joint practices isn't the same. They still can't hit the quarterback. Now, I don't want our quarterback to get hit in the preseason, but at the same time, it back in the day, as I said, when I was playing ball, it was EIEIO throw. And I'm sure that they are putting that into that young man's head to say, hey, you ain't got a lot of time back here, bro. But you just can't get that down unless you have some live fire. So I don't mind Mariota being there, but Jayden's got to get his reps as well.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I'm okay with it the first week in camp. I'm okay with it even the second week in camp. But if after the first preseason game they're splitting reps, I got a problem with it. I need Jayden to start building that rapport with his receivers, with his offensive linemen. I need those linemen to start to understand where they need to be split wise and position wise for Jayden and those passing lanes. Right. That right now, okay, I get it. You know, everyone's getting a bite at the apple and they're having quote unquote a competition. We all know that this isn't a real competition. And even if it was, from everything I'm hearing from the beat reporters that have been there every day, Jayden is winning the competition just because he's making throws that Marcus isn't making. Not that Marcus is throwing him in the dirt, like you said, you know, about Wentz earlier, but Jayden is just more on point than Marcus has been. And let's be real, Jayden's a future. Marcus is the insurance blanket just in case something happens. And Adam Peters knows what that's like, having come from the 49ers. There was that playoff game the Niners were in where Christian McCaffrey ended up finishing at quarterback because they lost their quarterbacks, right? So I get being prudent, but in 2 weeks, if we're still hearing that it's the same thing, then I personally am going to have a problem with it because I'm hearing that a lot of guys are having false starts. A lot of guys are jumping off sides because they're not just going on one every time. They're changing up the snap count. You've got different cadences from different quarterbacks, and you've got quarterbacks throwing different spots for different routes for different receivers or to the same receiver. So it's some of those things that you want to make sure you get ironed out and taken care of before that third preseason game, before we have to go down to Tampa. And I want to make sure that, you know, right now it's all good, but later on, he actually gets the reps that he's going to need because he's going to be the starter for this team, barring, you know, the I word. But did anybody get a chance to actually wear that chain? I've stayed off of your social media because I wanted to talk to you about camp and I didn't want to get a teaser about anything we talk about in the show. I'm assuming you were rocking it when you were out there, or else you wouldn't be the rally captain. Did anybody put it on?
No one put it on, and I got to tell you, Ted, I didn't ask anyone to put it on. I have to say, the way that they had camp set up this year, unless you were in certain areas, you couldn't see a lot of the players. So, like I said, I was in the end zone area, and you know how the players would come down the walkway. They
Yeah.
kind of had that blocked off. So whereas before you could kind of stand over there and maybe talk to a couple people, that was blocked off for like the VIP area, if you will. So that was a total change. And that's another thing that I said, we were cramped. We were cramped. The average person couldn't get down there. And some of the players just they had other things to do. A lot of players did come. I shouldn't say a lot. I'll say some players came by, but I didn't ask them to put the chain on. Year after year, you know, I would ask players to do it, but for some reason this year, it felt like I was going to be that guy, and I didn't want to be that guy, even though I'm the rally captain.
Nah, I hear you, man. It's with 3,000 people being that cramped and that awkward. And to me, it's just, I don't get autographs. If I try and, you know, take a selfie with a guy, maybe every once in a while if I get a chance. But to me, training camp is more so that part of it is for the kids. It drives me
Exactly.
crazy when you have adults that are trying to literally like box them out at that point so the kids can't get in there. It's about building the younger fan base and it's having them make those memories that I remember going to see camp with my dad back in day. And it's kind of made me the fan I am today. So I'm glad to hear that it was such a good time. And, you know, maybe if we can find some people with an extra 15 grand to spend, you can get them to wear the chain while you're hanging out in the tunnel club at Commander's Field. Did you, I know you saw it because I saw your tweet go out. For those that didn't see it, tell them about the tunnel club they got going on out there.
Well, I got to tell you, it's a great idea. But it's also kind of I, I like what the owners are doing. And this is a 50-50 thing here. So you have to follow me with this. I like what the owners are doing. A lot of NFL teams are doing. I want to say Dallas does it. I don't know exactly other teams, but I know Dallas for sure does it. But this is a way that you can get up close and personal with the team as they're coming in and out of the tunnel. They've got lounges, top shelf alcohol. They've got everything you need. But the problem is it's a little bit too expensive for my blood.
A
And what I mean
little.
by that is it's 15K on top of your season tickets. So that's a little bit too expensive for me. The good thing is you can you can go and come as you please, and because you obviously still have your seats. But for me, as I was saying, I like it, but don't like it. And I remember being a season ticket holder back in the day, you could have tunnel passes.
Yep.
So I just, although I like the direction, what are you doing for your day ones? That's what I'm concerned about. I understand that, hey, look, they've got to make money. I got it. You got to make money. You got to pay for the equipment and everything that needs to be done to the stadium because it was not necessarily in shambles, but it was behind the times, if you will.
It
These
was in
updates,
shambles, man. I mean, we had railings
yeah,
breaking, we had pipes bursting. Let's be real.
okay,
But
all right, okay,
I,
I'll say it. Okay, it was in shambles. It was they had a derelict of duty that a lot of people just didn't do what they needed to do to keep it up. But now you've got to reverse all of that negativity that was there, and so it costs money to do that. So here's an indication, ladies and gentlemen. Here is an indication. If you think that's expensive, which it is, imagine what's going to happen when the new stadium comes. So just prepare yourself because the writing's on the wall. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer because I love what they're doing, but we know for a fact anytime you upgrade, there's an upcharge.
no, there's definitely going to be an upcharge. I mean, there are 150 passes, right, for this tunnel club. It's $15,000, which gets you 2 passes to the tunnel club. So that's what, 75 times 15,000? That's $1.125 million they're looking to generate from this. And that would be per season. It's 21,000 square foot space. And I remember being with you in Atlanta and we were coming off the field. Atlanta has a similar thing where the players were walking by the tunnel club. And I remember our team was walking out and the Falcons players were walking out there too. So it is a cool concept. And I'm right there with you, man. I remember when you used to be able to trade in your yards for being a season ticket holder for X amount of years, and you could
Yes.
get field passes. And I never took advantage of that because I'm always cooking, and I would never come into the game early. It's frustrating to hear. It reminds me of those cell phone plans where you're rewarded for jumping ship. You're not rewarded for being with Verizon for 10 years, right? We've had season tickets for 20 plus years and you don't get a pat on the back or anything, and not even a jersey. Whereas people that are signing up now, you're buying club seats, you get free food, free drinks, free parking. We get nothing. And I'm not trying to cry about it. It would just be nice if they also recognize those of us that have been here from the jump, not those that are just coming in right now since the Hogs took over. So it is, a little frustrating to hear, but I am excited for those individuals that are going to get a chance to do that. And hey, if one of you guys are our listeners and you do get a chance to do that and you got an extra pass, hit my man Rally up because I'm going to be cooking. I can't go, but maybe when I retire, I'll be standing beside you. And if I win a scratch off ticket or something, but I am excited that they're putting more money and investing more into the stadium, even though we're looking into a new one. Because to me, the message is yes, we're still trying to find a new home, but we're still going to invest in the one we have. We're not just going to let it fall apart and run down. So it's somewhat keeping up with the Joneses, but really just trying to get on par with the rest of the league and the rest of the NFL. And I just, man, it's getting me excited to be out there for the first preseason game. Actually, the only preseason game we have, knowing that we probably won't see Jayden, but just being back out there to see all the improvements that they've made. And maybe I can sneak into the Tunnel Club for that first game because I don't cook for preseason. I don't know.
Well, who knows? That may, if they don't sell, maybe that'll be an incentive for people to be able to see what it's about, without looking at the renderings of everything, just to see it firsthand, because seeing is believing. And so once you see it, you say, oh, you know what, 15 grand isn't that expensive in my pocket after all. I'll pop it down there.
Yeah, Mrs. Tailgate would kill me if I even thought about spending 15 grand just for one season, but I hear you.
Yeah. Well, I hate the fact that this is a shorter show, but I've got to run. I'm working on a detail, so but I appreciate it. I wanted to get back with you and the fans, let everybody know what we saw and what we think and what we feel. And so, as you said, we are approaching that first preseason game in New Jersey with the Jets. And hey, I look forward to seeing what we do, how we do it. Oh, before I go, Sandstrill, look out, the kid from Michigan. Oh my God, on fire. All right, I hear the music playing in the background. I've got to run. But remember, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain Tailgate Ted, and we're out.